Last summer, I decided to cycle from Bristol to near Bude in Cornwall, down a route known as the West Country Way. There's a small village near Bude which my family has been visiting for a very long time. My grandmother, on my mother's side, first went there during the war. My mum first visited in 1966, and I've been there every year of my life, bar one, last summer, which I spent cycling to Istanbul via Greece. That cycle finished just over a year ago, and ever since then I've been itching to get back on the bike, back on the road. The cycle down to Crackington would only take me 2 or 3 days rather than 3 months, but it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. The journey would be a mix of new and old. Despite being from the West Country, it's one of the few parts of the UK I've not yet cycled. You tend to get a different view of things from the seat of a bike. My dad joined me on the first stage down to an old Roman villa, the same way I'd started my cycle a year before.
I'm off on another long cycle, longish, quite short actually. It's not across Europe this time, it's 2 or 3 days down into Cornwall, just something to do. Especially high tide today, because it's something to do with the moon. I guess all tides are to do with the moon, but it's a big one. Half is barely out of the water.
Bristol has the second largest tidal range in the world, just after the Bay of Fundy in Canada. I cycled through Bristol's famous floating harbour, aiming for Queen Square. This is the official start point of the West Country Way, and was the first stop and location of my first vlog on my Europe cycle.
I'm back in Queen Square again. I was here 1 year, 20 days ago, I think. But I'm not going to Istanbul this time, I'm just doing 2 or 3 days down to Cornwall.
On my previous cycle, my tempo had broken on day 1, and my back wheel had had consistent issues.
My back wheel's wobbling, I want to take it off and check if the back axle is cracked, because I think it might be.
Of course, I fixed these problems this time round.
I bought a new back wheel and it's the same as my old one, it's got the same issues. Bought a new 10, same as my old one, probably break again. But I left my old 10 quite a bit in Istanbul, so I can't use that. The plan is 2 or 3 days down into Cornwall, just inside Cornwall really, following the West Country Way. Gonna camp for a night or 2. Things I forgot to do before I set out is oil my chain, get a new padded seat for the bike. I might have to buy one of them. People in the bike shop said don't, it's bad for your hips, buy some padded shorts, but I am poor so I can't do that. I haven't fixed my belt. This is what the bike's looking like, same as ever. D-line, unpadded seat. Lost the strap to shoulder pull on last time, so I'm using that thing, see if it holds. Got a new Camelback, it's a running one, so I used it when I went to Tunisia and did the run with Russ Cook. But it doesn't leak, so that's the main benefit it has over the last one. It's a bit smaller, less storage, less water, but doesn't leak, which is actually a huge bonus, isn't it? Now I'm actually right at the start of my trail right now, but I think what I'm going to have to do is take a short detour to a Sports Direct, buy a seat, head back out on our way. New bike seat cover, exactly the same as my last one, which I bought in Newcastle 2 years ago, also from a Sports Direct. But this one's not held together by gaffer tape. I broke the last one in Croatia. Like new.
So the cycle began, and my first destination was Chew Valley Lake.
Okay, on the route now. Sun's starting to come out, so back on my sunglasses. National Cycle Route 3, next to another very high river.
I cycled through the suburbs of Bristol. This is the first time on any of my long cycles that I've ever headed west out of the city, and there was plenty of fun to be had on the way. It's amazing how quickly you can get from the centre of Bristol to the countryside on a bicycle.
Out onto the quiet country roads now. On my DOV hike in the Mendips. Our project was about observing how many aeroplanes there were. I think there were like 5.
The hills have arrived. There's gonna be a few of these about. Just gotta remember that I've cycled over the Alps. No, it wasn't easy, it was real hard. This is hard too. I'm passing contentment, can you tell? Sound like they're having a great time. Edges have begun. They get higher as I get into Cornwall, I think. And blind corners, prime spots to be hit by a car. When someone criticises my nose. On Denny Lane there is a barber showing photographs. We're at Chew Valley Lake. Done about 30 kilometres, which is a tenth of the way, I think. Been going about 2 hours. Taking longer than they should because I keep stopping to record stuff, but it's quite a note for you. Stay here for a sec, soak it in. It's a cherry almond pastry. I get free pastries for my job. I've got 2. I've got some jelly babies as well, and some nuts and fruit, and that's all the food I have. People say you need like gels and electrolytes and stuff for cycling. You don't. Get some electrolytes for running, I would suggest that. I learned that to my cost when I did a marathon. But like cycling, I crossed the continent on blue Fanta and croissants. Pretty nice.
Brunch over, I set my eyes on the next spot, Glastonbury Tor. Chew Valley Lake is the 5th largest artificial lake in the UK. Creating it required flooding land that had been occupied on and off since the Neolithic times. Pretty sad, but I couldn't commiserate as I was beginning to have problems of my own.
Taking a little break halfway up a hill. The new wheel's having some issues. And if I go into the lowest gear, it skips like mad. I feel like I'm damaging it, so it's a bit tricky to cycle in Cornwall and Devon without being able to use your lowest gear. Maybe it'll fix itself. Just gotta stop and have some snacks.
One piece of advice I'd give if you're going to do any bikepacking, which I've not yet followed, is invest in a decent kickstand. I've had so many times I've had to just lie the bike on the ground like this, which is not good for the bike, probably not good for the ground, and often means you have to wait until you find a good place you can lean your bike before you can stop, or you wheel it into an area with a wall or a bush and it gets poked by some barbed wire or some thorns and you get a puncture. Well, get a kickstand. Wish I had one. Am I disturbing you? Oh god, so many flies. Sorry about that, fellas. I could tell already that this gear thing was going to be a wheel issue.
That hill was a real effort because of that gear. I've been doing a bit of twisting, adjusting the gears so I can get it better. It seems a little bit better. But now all the other gears are skipping a little bit, so I think keep going. Next time I pass the pub, I'm going to go in, get a Coke, charge some stuff, and maybe fiddle with the gears a bit, see if I can fix it. Bit of a view over there. Lovely.
Quiet tarmac country roads gave way to cool woodland paths. I love cycling in nature and in the shade of the trees. I could do without all the puddles.
Made it. Another one.
It's lucky that my shoes are already brown.
Bit of an effort. A wheel around through these trees.
Okay, we're good. Getting a bit remote.
Feel like I'm in the Shire. There are 4 things you need when cycling a long way: water, food, phone charge, and beer. Luckily, I'm in England. Charging a couple of things in the pub. Told them where I was going. And that I cycled to Istanbul, and they're both very impressed. I think I tell every person I meet that. I'm gonna do something else. It's like 1:30 now. I'm gonna be gone by 2. But need some sustenance and mainly some charging. On a ocean. Keeps threatening to rain, then it threatens to get sunny. Don't know if I should put on a raincoat or sun cream. Tricky. Really worth getting some more water too. Up. Back on the road again. It's 2 PM already, and I've only gone like, I don't know, 40 kilometers or something. 300 to do. So, trying to go a bit faster. Less fancy camera shots probably. The West Country Way is around 300 kilometers from end to end. The longest single day of cycling I've ever done is 186 kilometers. But that was in Greece in summer with long daylight hours. Doing a lot of downhill at the moment. I think that means we're heading down out of the Mendips towards Wookey Hole. Sick. And into Wells. Let's get going. Somewhere I picked up a hitchhiker. We're coming to Cornwall, buddy. My hitchhiker left me while I was crossing a road. Why does everyone leave? Why didn't the ladybird cross the road? Because the road had a knife. The gradual appearance of strange roadside ruins let me know I was nearing Glastonbury, the native home of mystics, druids, and middle-class music fans. Well, I just had an absolutely lovely experience. While I was filming that last shot, me cycling past, bike bumped and this thing fell off, which is what I use to hold the GoPro on. So I was going back and forth, trying to find it, and then this old lady walking on the path, and she asked me if I dropped anything. And I said yes I had. I showed her, and we went up and down a couple of times, scanning the ground for it, and then she spotted it, hidden underneath a stick, which I would not have seen myself, honestly. She said she was surprised she saw it because she has old eyes, but sharper than mine it seems. And then we had a nice little chat. Her name's Antoinette. She's a healer. She said she felt that I had a good heart, and I told her I was off to study journalism, and she said, oh yes, that's you, you're a journalist because you've got an inquiring mind. Which is pretty ironic because I didn't really ask her any follow-up questions when she said she was a healer. But she also said that all the old structures going away and are collapsing at the moment, and we need young blood like me to make the new ones. Which I kind of get what she said, to be honest. It does feel like we're in a big moment of change. But shook her hand, wished her well, and she said she felt blessed to meet me, and I genuinely do feel blessed to meet her. It was lovely. There's moments like that you remember a lot, really. Glastonbury 5 miles. I bet you that's where Antoinette lives. She was wearing a yellow coat and a grey fedora with feathers in it. Denny Lane, Strawberry Lime. Beetles are out in force today. Oh yeah, there was also a beetle on me. I believe that might be Glastonbury Tor. What's better than this, man? Cycling through the countryside, out on the open air, seeing cool stuff, meeting cool people. If I could do this for my whole life, I think I would. I'm going at some point to cycle across the world. I don't know if I'm going to do South Africa to Singapore or just, Portugal to Singapore and then the Americas. I'm going to do it. Mark my words. Might even do Antarctica. Committing right now. I'm going to cycle across every single continent. Okay? Sorted. The Britons called the Tor the Isle of Avalon, and some believe it to be the Avalon of Arthurian legend. Some followers of Celtic mythology claim claim it to be the entrance to the land of the fairies, or the land of the dead.
I'm on a pretty steep hill right now, and not having my lowest gear is having big consequences. Having to walk up. That fucking sucks. Stopped here at the viewpoint, have a rest and charge some stuff. Ready to get this gear fixed, man. It's amazing how quickly you recover energy when you just stop and eat some food. I forgot to bring clips for these bags, so that pan is now full of nuts and raisins. I was aiming initially for Exmoor, but I think that's way out of my reach at the moment. So maybe the Quantocks. I'm near the Quantocks. I'm sure I can find somewhere to wild camp there. Spent the last 5 minutes fishing nuts and raisins out of my bag and eating them. Yummy. But I found a solution. Lovely. Go on a hike up to the Tor. Make it a run. Quite a steep hill this. Pretty nice. Apparently, back in the olden times, this whole area was flooded. And the Tor here was a peninsula. Pretty cool. My bike's down there. Very spectacular spot. Also pretty windy. Don't know if you can hear me. I have to carry on now.
The next stop was the town of Bridgewater.
See if we've summoned any mystical energy from this place. I need it.
Feeling boosted by the beauty of the view, I carried on through the very witchy Glastonbury and out onto the back roads heading towards Bridgewater in search of a pub. My venture up the Tor had cost me half an hour and my hours of daylight were running thin.
Can't cut your tongue. Much as I love solo cycling, and I really do, sometimes when you go for a little town like that, you pass like groups of friends sat having a beer together, or families going for a meal together. You just think, damn, that looks nice. It'd be really nice to just kind of do that every once in a while. I do those things in my normal life, you know, but if anyone wants to come on these long cycles with me, well, maybe. Now, what are these things hanging off the power lines? Are they important? Or are they just dream catchers? It's past 5, but the sun's finally out, so the sunglasses have gone on. Everything's green. Suddenly I'm jealous of the world. Not really sure what the plan is now. I want to get beyond Bridgewater today, and then see how much daylight we've got. See where we can make it to do a little camp, I think. Tell you what, this padded seat is not doing much to alleviate the pain, and my hips hurt, which is odd. Long gravel path up the sound it makes. Jelly bean. I'm looking up places to eat in Bridgewater. Maybe like a burger place or something pretty quick. So I can go in, first up and charge, eat. By that time it'll probably be about 7. Then I've got an hour of daylight to get out of Bridgewater, find somewhere campable. That's gonna be the hard part. But after dark, camp anywhere really, right? Do you reckon they're coming back?
The route wound under and over bridges. I was using a GPX, a pre-downloaded route this time, because I didn't trust Beeline's routing. It got me lost a lot in Europe. but even with this pre-prepared route, they still expect you to be able to cycle upstairs. I genuinely think, when it comes to bikepacking, I prefer thunderstorms and mountains over stairs. I went to one pub, but the owner was very unfriendly. She said she wouldn't let me charge my phone because she pays for her own electricity. So instead, I set my eyes on the Compass Inn, just south of town, where I got a sausage and mash and beer, which hopefully reimbursed them for my electricity usage. It's dark now. I'm heading towards the Quantocks to see if there's actually any viable places within reach. Sure, I'll find somewhere. It's very dark. I'm setting up over there. See you in the morning, I guess. I'd ended up at a place called King's Cliff, just inside the Quantocks. By the time I got there, it was pitch black, and I had to cross the river by the light of my bicycle. Good morning. It's 6:30 AM the next day. This is where I camped last night. There's my bike, my tent, under this cover of trees, which felt safe when I camped, but then in the night I kept thinking, what if it gets really windy and collapses on me? Luckily it didn't. The only way here is down this path blocked by trees and stuff, so I hope no one will come down. No one did. There is a path up there, so they could definitely see if they wanted, but who cares? I'm off now. Breakfast. Packed and ready to go. That's where I slept last night. Leave nothing but footprints. Just need to get my bike out of here now. It's a bit of an effort, but we'll manage it. The problem with finding somewhere to camp off the beaten track while bikepacking, especially with a relatively cheap and heavy bike, is that bicycles don't like going off beaten tracks. It took a whole lot of clambering and slithering to get out of this place, so you can imagine what it was like finding it in a pitch black wood. There's always a balance to be struck between having enough light to set up your tent and not enough that people are out and about, walking their dogs or driving their sheep. Despite the remoteness, public woodland is a far less scary place to camp than a farmer's field, and I've done both. Last night I got my bike to that bank there and used that as a bridge to get across. Then I discovered you can just go this way. A new day brings new excitement and new dreads. As you stretch your aching muscles to disassemble your camp, you can't wait to be on your way. But there's always a moment when you get back on the seat where your body says, really? This again? Okay, back on the road now. On the path, I guess. Heading off. Trails behind the West Country Way again. Just had to deviate off the pylon yesterday. Go back south. It's a bit out of my way, but it was a nice route, so keep following it. Cycle through the woods right now. This is King's Cliff. At some point today I want to try and find a way of fixing my lowest gear. That's mission number one. It's times like this where you think having someone with you might come in handy.
fix the gears, and I've made it far worse. Now we're going to the lowest or highest gear. We've got the top gear back, but the bottom gear is still broken. Can't fix it because I think it's a spanner. It's going to be difficult cycling today, I think. It's very windy and it keeps spitting. I'm almost back on the route, but when I get into Cornwall with insane hills and I don't have my lowest gear, it's going to be a struggle. Here I am in Somerset at the sun, which is the centre of the solar system. We need a direction in all the planets, I think. So, we're going to cycle on, see what planet we get to.
The canal between Bridgewater and Taunton is lined in either direction by models of the planets of the solar system. The scale is 1 to 530 million. Each millimetre is 530 kilometres, which makes this my longest cycle ever.
Very lovely and very pretty, except absolutely stinks of shit. Like, worse than like manure, it smells like human shit. Be a horrible way to get out of here. Saturn, that's the first one I've seen, which means I've missed Mercury, Venus, Earth, Jupiter. Wonder where they are.
This is the middle part of bikepacking, where not much is happening. The scenery isn't spectacular, the weather isn't stunning, you're a bit lonely and a bit tired and a bit bored, and you still have a long way to go. And you start to think, why bother? In these situations, you just have to think about the good bits. The bits where the sun is out, where you see something cool, where you're going down a hill, or you reach a pub and have the best pint of your life, or when you encounter the kindness of strangers.
This road I'm on right now was closed, but people doing the roadworks let me through because I'm a cyclist, so very nice of them because it's a long way back and around. Appreciate that, fellas.
Look, cool stuff already.
When people say I've got a big forehead. The little bakery. It's a tradition at this point. It's been a muddy old cycle. I'm going to take a detour to Holcombe Rogus, which is a town I used to go to a lot when I was very young because we had family friends that lived there who have since moved away. So I haven't been there in like 15 years, maybe 10-15 years. I just want to go take a look, see what it's like. It's starting to get wet.
As I rolled into town, I became very confused. It was not how I remembered it at all.
Now, I believe they used to have boxcar races down this street, starting from here, going down that way. But in my memory, it's a lot steeper. I guess everything is more extreme when you're a kid. I think I've seen the house of my family friend, but it's not like I remember it. I'm going to go down the hill, the way the boxcar races did, head back towards the cycle route, carry on, because I am taking a long time to get anywhere. It might take me 4 days at this point, and I don't want that. So I'm going to speed through the next bit. See you in a bit.
It's an odd feeling to revisit a place you used to know well. My dad took these videos on a Super 8 camera in 2003. I was 3 years old at the time. This boxcar race is a core memory for me. I remember the bathtub on wheels, the tank, the plane with its propeller, and the pirate ship which tossed out chocolate coins to the watching children. Or do I? How much do I actually remember? How much of it is simply a memory of this video? A projection which I watch every 3 years or so when I go back home for Christmas? How much is real? And how much is simply light shining through reels of film? I haven't been to this town in over a decade. How many of my memories of it are, in reality, memories of memories, or stories people have told me? Will I even remember this moment, this visit, in a few years' time? Will I remember the feel of the wind, or the spray from the road, or the cold in my bare arms, or the ache in my legs, or the confusion of being unable to recognise the high street in a town that has only 3 roads, because it doesn't line up with the towering hill of my memory? Or will this footage, taken on a GoPro in 2024, become my memory? Will I really be able to bring this trip to mind, and remember how it really was, without the overlays of music, editing, and the world confined to a 16:9 frame? I'm grateful to have been able to come back here, and have this physical and watchable reminder of my childhood and my early 20s. This was a fun trip down memory lane. I am out of Somerset and into Devon. Didn't see a welcome to Devon sign, but that's just as good. More discontents I never had since I was born than here, where I have been and still am sad in this dull Devonshire. Look at that water, pretty clear. There's even fish swimming about in it. Chains come off on the inside. Forgot to oil it before I left, it's quite dry. Time was pressing on, but I was getting hungry. I've just eaten a meal here in this smokehouse while I torched them. They've been very nice, but the food wasn't very good. Now the sun's come out, and I'm wondering if I should put on sun cream. Got a new chest mount, so we're getting some different shots. Maybe that will speed me up a bit. Canal path. I have a love-hate relationship with canal paths. They keep you away from traffic. They're flat, which means you can make good progress fast. They're often very pretty, but they do shake your wrist to pieces. I live in constant fear of knocking into a wall or bush and plunging into their shallow depths. Forest paths are much nicer. It's too sunny. I'm too ginger to risk it. Going up. It'd be lovely if I had a lower skier. A very steep hill. There's no end, so I've stopped to do an essential thing. My dodgy gear just started working then. It wasn't quite a shallow hill, so maybe that's why, but I'm hoping. If I just keep quiet and don't draw attention to it, it might still keep working. Very nice. When people say I'm still dirty after I've bathed. Dolverton. I found myself going downhill for a while, which could only mean one thing. Uphill was coming. Alright, we're in Exmoor, which, pretty good time. It's 5:30, so I've got about 3 hours of daylight left. Can make it most of the way through Exmoor. And there's some spots on the other side I've heard are quite good for wild camping, so we'll try and get to them. Very steep hill, not obvious on camera, but very steep. And, miracle of miracles, my lowest gear is working. Everything just works out, doesn't it? As I climbed the endless hills up into Exmoor, I felt I was getting properly remote at last. This would be a bad place to run out of supplies.
Reached the top of that hill at last, now going downhill, but I just ran out of water in my camelback. So I think even when I pass a pub, there may be one up on this desolate moor, we'll see. Water is priority number one. Proper moor out that way. Prime wild camping territory, but a couple hours too early at the moment, so we'll carry on. See where we're at when the time comes. And if we've required any water by then. Not the best place for me to run out of water.
As the wide, windy moorland opened up around me, and the end of the day approached, my thoughts, of course, turned to the most important thing.
There's even more. Moorland like this wouldn't be very good for wild camping because it's very lumpy. There's hidden pits in the ground. I mean, an area like that would be quite nice. It's too close to the road to see me. I'm counting on finding somewhere maybe with a little footpath that goes off, and I can find something off a footpath like I did last night. Glimpse of sun. I think the sun cream may have been unnecessary. Okay, I've made some decisions. My phone's on 65%, which is not terrible. It's doable. My navigation system is on 19%. Navigation system isn't 100% necessary because I can just use my phone, but I would like to have that. I've got a portable charger in the back, which has a tiny bit of charge left, which I'm hoping I'm just going to use on the navigation. Because of that, I've stopped playing music on my phone. 4G's off, trying to save as much battery as possible. Maybe even put it on airplane mode. We're going to just kind of head along the path as far as we can. If we pass anywhere we can get water, fantastic. If anywhere we can charge, even better. If we don't, maybe we'll have to stop when the sun goes down, camp, and then it'll be a short cycle down into town tomorrow and we can charge. Or I will decide that I need to charge and I need water. In which case, we'll just head down to town in the dark and try and find somewhere to stay around there. I've got this left. I'm going to drink it all now because caffeine will keep me up and it will give me energy and mean I won't have to drink the actual water. But we're going to head on our way now. Luckily my GoPros are both, I've got enough battery on my GoPro, that's fine. Scratch all those plans potentially. There's a pub. Little way out of my way but not far. And we're going to visit it, get some water, charge some stuff and then reassess. I think could be the answer to all my problems. Everything works itself out. I realise I still haven't really explained why I'm doing this cycle. Every year since 2020, I've done a long-ish cycle. In 2020, after lockdown was lifted for the first time, I went to Newcastle where I was at university and I cycled back to Bristol, straight through the country. It took me 5 days and I stayed with family on the way. It was very nice, did camp one night. Then the next year, 2021, I did a very short one. I just did a one-day cycle from Bristol to somewhere in the middle of Hampshire to a campsite where I was to meet my then girlfriend and we had a weekend there, which was nice, and I cycled back. 2022, I did a therapeutic cycle from Newcastle to Bristol again, but along the other coast, down to the Lake District, through Snowdonia. This took me 8 days. I did a bit of wild camping there, mostly campsites. And then, 2023, I did a very long cycle. And I haven't done much cycling since, mainly because my bike's been a bit broken from that whole thing. I've got a new wheel on it now, as I've mentioned. This is a longer cycle than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be 2 days. Definitely going to be 3 days, probably 3 long days as well, which is not what I was expecting. But it's been really fun, really nice to be back on the bike again. And you get these problems like running out of charge, running out of water, these things happen. And you kind of build up a way of dealing with it, which is quite useful in the rest of my life. Things don't stress me out anywhere near as much as they used to, because I've had to deal with situations like this all the time, where maybe I'll be lost in the wilderness, no clue where I am, no way to get myself home. But I think everything tends to work out in the end. We're only 14 minutes away from the pub, and I've noticed on the map that there's wooded valleys near it, which are attractive to me. Somewhere no one will see me camping, and probably a bit out of the wind too. It's quite windy up here. Okay, here we should go straight ahead, but instead we're going down the hill and hoping and praying this pub exists and it's open, charging ports, water, beer, and a good place to camp nearby. I think it will. This is quite some speed. I've had the biggest stroke of luck, or I guess countryside kindness, ever. I came to this pub, Holcombe Arms, and I noticed it had a sign outside that said camping. I paid £4.50 for this pint, which was all my cash, so I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'll be able to afford to go camping here, and they said camping's free, also food is free tonight because it's the boss's birthday. I think it's all locals who all know the boss. I walked in, they all went quiet and looked at me and then started talking again. I guess expected someone they knew. Met the landlord, he was lovely. He said, so I can come in tomorrow morning, make myself a cup of tea in the kitchen. Got free cake, because it's his birthday. I'm gonna rave about this place. He's after me sausage. I've given him a bit already. I'll give him a little bit more. Careful buddy, it's quite hot. Got it? There you go. Hey little dog. You supposed to be out here? Trying to clean my legs off a little bit before I get in my sleeping bag. Better than a shower. I'm in bed wearing a jumper. Much colder tonight than it was last night. Good night. That was a wet night. So that's why I slept last night, in this pub beer garden. For free. Very lovely. Apparently they left the door open for me so I can go in and make a cup of tea, get myself some water, go to the bathroom, things like that. Still wearing the dirty shirt I was wearing yesterday. If it wasn't the last day, I'd change it, but it's gonna get dirty anyway. May as well just wear the same thing. Lots of these spiders all over my tent. As I got ready to go in the drizzle, I just hope that this evening I'll be safe and warm in a house in Crackington. Well, thank you to the Baltimore Arms. Couldn't have done it without you. I've done the journey to Crackington countless times in my life, but it's never before felt so far away, and I've never wanted to be there so badly. Okay, we're on our way again. Might be getting less GoPro shots today because my battery is very low. Even though I thought I had full battery, one of them is actually only on 15%, so we'll see. Skipping a little section of the West Country Way, which just takes me back up a very, very steep hill onto the moors and round for several miles. I'd have done it had I not come down to the pub, but more, I've seen enough. I don't want to see any more. So just going to go straight through the country. As I've been informed, it's all downhill today, so it should be very nice. And then it should be Crackington, Bude, and then Crackington in no time at all. Things are going a little wrong, just in terms of charging stuff. Nothing major. GoPro started glitching and all that kind of thing. Wonder if it's just been overused. Only my phone is stuff. Obviously that takes battery, so. Back on the route. Here we go.
With charging and breakfast on my mind, I set my sights on a cafe just beyond Barnstable at the start of the Tarka Trail.
Down to town. Maybe they'll have a cafe where I can get coffee and a pastry and charge some stuff. Then do the final push today. Last 100 or so kilometres to my destination. It's good fun.
Thoughts of my family down in Crackington, sat having a drink on the wall that overlooks the beach, swimming in the freezing sea, and bagging the best bedrooms drove me on. I also really fancied a shower.
Nice day today for a change.
The trail wove along woodland paths and traced the coastal wetlands. At 11, I stopped at this cafe by the coast and accidentally knocked over several rental bikes. Damage done, I charged my glitching GoPro and continued on my way. The GoPro had begun to cut out after a few seconds use. This would be an issue later, but for now, I just took in the beautiful scenery.
About 85 kilometres to go. It's almost midday. Doable, but I'm going to take it a bit faster. On your left. Cheers. I believe I'm on the Tarka Trail now. 11 kilometres on this beautiful spiky path. Don't mind if I do.
This was the first part of my route which seemed to be popular with other cyclists. Maybe it was because the sun was out. There was one in particular who I kept overtaking. Then, when I stopped to film something, he'd overtake me. We had a nice chat in the end. This is the Tarka Trail. I'll be following it all the way down to the red dot, where I'd turn right and head towards the sea.
Cheeky little chappy. He's actually fondling someone.
I was pedalling fast because I wanted to be in Crackington before dinner, and because the flat path gave me a good chance to make up time. But it did come at a bit of a cost.
I stopped for a sandwich. About halfway. Yeah, about 50 kilometres to go. Tired myself out though because I'm going real fast because I want to be there by like 5 or 6. And I can do that if I go fast, but eat this fast, drink some of this, then carry on. Sandwich. My knee hurts quite a lot. I'm damaged at doing that marathon. Not been the same since.
I kept up the pace, and soon I reached this point, where I turned right and headed towards the coast. This was the final stretch.
Heading out towards the coast, yeah. I don't know if I'm at Cornwall yet. What it's saying.
Huh. Must have got lost.
I had to keep stopping to rest, and my supply of snacks was getting low. Then I got a surprise phone call.
Just been offered and accepted a house to live in Manchester, which has been a big stress for me. Sorted on the cycle. Everything works out, man.
I could sense the air growing fresher, and soon there were other signs that I was approaching Cornwall.
Okay, so here's where I'm taking my version. The route goes to Bude, but I'm not going to Bude. I'm going to Crackington Haven, a little bit along the coast. About 15 kilometres from here. Should take me about 50 minutes. Then we're done. Fuel up, let's go.
Spoiler alert, which anyone who's cycled on the Cornish coast might see coming. It took me a bit more than 50 minutes. That being said, my last landmark was almost in view.
There's the sea. That's where I'm going.
A lot of this trip has been about revisiting the past.
I believe that's where I'm going. So, home stretch, but still quite a way.
I've been to flooded Neolithic settlements, Roman ruins and Arthurian tours. I've been to towns from my childhood, and I've found older, slower, kinder ways of living.
Correct. Just ascended a very steep hill, and the gear was going in and out the whole time. Probably really damaging this new wheel, but what can you do?
Travelling by bike feels like an older way to travel.
That was nuts.
For me, it reminds me of the past 4 years, and of times when the landscape you move through didn't whip by the window at 70 miles per hour.
More climbing. Had lots of people wish me well on this one to get past some people, but my gear is being so dodgy. More nuts. Another steep one.
And I like how sometimes you're forced to take it slow. 50 minutes turned into hours as I stopped to catch my breath, admire the view, eat my remaining snacks, and rest my legs. There's so much past all around us, and in speeding through, you leave it behind.
It'd be so much easier if I didn't keep popping out of gear every 2 meters.
The hills and delays this close to my destination were demoralising, but I'd anticipated this, and the pain couldn't last forever.
I'm 1 mile away. Last hill over, I think. There it is. Down there. Should be there in 5 minutes. Whew. Last road. It's down to the bottom of this hill.
At last, after 3 days, I was almost there, and as I rounded this corner, there it was.
There it is.
I'd had this vision since day one, of zooming down the hill in one unbroken shot, recording on my GoPro as the valley gradually opened up around me and became a bay, and Big and Little Cam came into view on the left, and Penkennet did the same on the right, of not stopping until my little bicycle had bumped down the concrete ramp onto the rocky beach, and I'd abandoned it to run into the sea. But my rapidly malfunctioning GoPro had other ideas, as did my family, who were waiting to greet me.
Hey! Hi!
I'd made it. It wasn't as far or as hard as Istanbul, but it felt just as good.
There's the finish line, the sea. I've been accosted by family, so I've not gone down to it yet, but I'm going to go down now, and then I'll feel like it's done.